Today we're going to answer one of the most common questions I get on any video I put out that has anything to do with Palantir stock. And that question is Palantir a good buy right now? Would I buy Palantir stock if I didn't already have a position, or would I consider DCAing into Palantir right now? If you don't know what DCA is, that's dollar cost averaging. Would I consider doing that with Palantir right now, given the crazy run up they've had and given the highly stretched multiples that they have? That's what we're going to answer in this video. We're going to look at all the details, and by the end of the video, you'll have an answer to whether or not I personally would buy Palantir stock. Whether or not you should, that is totally up to you, but all I can share is what I personally feel about Palantir right now. But first, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Austin. I'm a co-owner of CloudMusicSuite.com. I'm also a stock market investor, and definitely, most importantly for this video, I'm a Palantir shareholder. I have been for many years now. This stock has treated us tremendously well. We've got an average cost of $8.12, which represents a 1,579% gain. It's definitely been one of those portfolio changing companies for me, and I plan to hold this stock for at least the next decade to go in the future, because I believe the runway of growth Palantir has in front of them is absolutely ridiculous, and I want to be part of that ride. That said, it's been a very long time since I picked up Palantir shares. The last time I bought new Palantir shares was all the way back in 2023 when the stock was at $8. I was buying like crazy in the single digit range. I couldn't believe that the stock was so undervalued and so depressed for so long, and I just kept buying shares. It became an extremely large weight in my portfolio in terms of money that I put in, and then fast forward a few years later, we're up 1,500+%, like I said. So my percent allocation with Palantir is honestly way too high. And when I look at it from a risk standpoint, it doesn't make sense for me to add new shares of Palantir. So it's been 2 years since I bought new shares of Palantir. The first place I ever talked about Palantir and many of the other stocks I hold in my portfolio was on the Patreon. So if you're interested in joining us in there, I'll put that as the pinned comment down there today. It's also a link in the description. Feel free to check out the Patreon to get access to any stocks I'm buying, selling, holding, etc. Now, before we answer the question, is Palantir a buy right now? We got to check out price action, we got to check out the valuation, and we got to talk about time horizon. Those three things will help us get to the answer. So first, the stock was up again today, up over 2.5%. Year to date, stock's already up 81%. Over the past 1 year, the stock is up 471%. And over the past 5 years, 1,382%. With some investors up way more than that because the stock hit a low of $6. It was in the $6 range at the end of 2022. That was a steal deal for Palantir, and definitely the best time to be buying Palantir stock. But in retrospect, not everyone had Palantir on their radar back in 2022. And along with that meteoric rise over the past few years, yes, revenue has increased like crazy. The revenue growth rates are very impressive. They're accelerating. Their net income growth rates are crazy, around 100%. Their operating income growth rates are even higher than that. They've got one of the best balance sheets in the entire stock market. It's an amazing, amazing company, but the valuation has been stretched in a crazy way. Check it out. We're looking at the GAAP PE ratio on a trailing 12-month basis. This stock is trading at 576 times trailing 12-month earnings. It's trading at 393 times forward earnings. And just for context on that, if you take every single stock within the S&P 500 and you average out the PE ratios, right now we're sitting at 27.822 on the trailing 12-month PE ratio of the entire S&P 500. The trailing PEG ratio for Palantir is sitting at 6.22, with the forward PEG ratio at 7.36. The average stock in the S&P 500 has a 1.1 forward PEG ratio. So we're almost 7 times higher than that at 7.36 with Palantir. The price to sales for Palantir is a 97, and you could expect a high growth SaaS company to trade somewhere between 4 and 10 on a price to sales ratio. So Palantir is considerably higher than that at a 97. PE looking out to fiscal year 2026 is expected to be 181. PE looking out to fiscal year 2027 is expected to be 137. And then 2028 fiscal PE is looking like an 89 as it stands right now based on analyst estimates. With consensus EPS growth rates of 42% this year, 25% next year, 32% the year after that, and 54% in 2028. To be honest, I think all of those numbers are way too low on the EPS growth rate. We've seen well over 100% increase year over year on EPS numbers for quite a while while now, and I seriously doubt we're going to have that steep of a drop off that quickly with Palantir, especially given that their revenue is accelerating. They're expanding their net margin. They're expanding their operating margin. I seriously doubt we're going to drop all the way to 25% EPS growth in 2026. So we know the valuation's high, but we also know the growth rates are extremely high. They're not the highest I've ever seen. They're not the highest for any stock that I hold even, but they are very high, much, much higher than the average stock in the market and the average stock in the S&P 500, which is the index we kind of benchmark everything to. So there's no doubt Palantir is trading very rich, and I believe in the short term, this can be a risky stock. So someone who is looking to buy Palantir and they only want to hold for maybe 1 year up to like 36 months. So 1 year to 3 years. I don't think this is a good buy. I don't think it's a good spot to put your money if you're expecting to get a huge gain over the next 1 to 3 years. That said, if you're a very long-term focused investor and you're okay with starting out with a small number of shares and growing that number of shares over the next few years, I think this could be a great stock for you if you're looking to hold it for like 8 to 10 years. That's how long it might take to get a really substantial return with Palantir. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know where the stock is going over the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and I don't know when the next meteoric rise is going to happen, but I do believe it will happen over the next 10 years. The runway of growth that Palantir has in front of them is extremely, extremely strong. The net income growth, the operating income growth, the free cash flow growth, and the margin expansion we're going to see over that time is going to keep allowing Palantir to command a premium valuation. Is it always going to command a 500 PE? No, absolutely not. That is not sustainable for any stock. So there's really two options. One, we get a drop in Palantir and it comes down to a little bit more realistic valuation levels. That's a possibility. Or two, we stay range bound and it's a dead money stock for a little while the fundamentals start to catch up to the share price, which will make the valuation look much more attractive. There's no doubt in my mind that Palantir's moat is strong enough to keep them as the leader in the space for the next decade plus. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to stay on the cutting edge of the technology and keep on improving their platforms and coming out with new platforms over the next decade plus. There's no doubt in my mind that their revenue growth, their net income growth, their operating income growth, their free cash flow growth, their margin expansion is going to be nuts over the next 10 years. As a result of that, I want to be part of that ride. But when someone's asking me, would I buy the stock? I always have to go back to, well, one, what's your risk tolerance, okay? If you have a very low risk tolerance, you definitely shouldn't be touching a stock that has a 500 PE, okay? There's a very real possibility this stock drops like a rock. If they miss any numbers inside their next few earnings reports, the stock will take a heavy hit, a very steep hit to the downside. That's just the facts. Valuations always matter, especially over the medium term and the long term. Yes, I understand that short term sentiment is really what drives the stock price. A great company with a strong moat, a strong balance sheet, and amazing growth is going to command a premium valuation, but that premium valuation still has limits to it, okay? So the stock can't just keep going to 800, 1,000, 1,400 PE. That's not sustainable, okay? That's not growth that we want as long-term shareholders. Growth that we want as long-term shareholders is share price growth that is sticky, share price growth that is going to stay. It needs staying power. So you might have already gotten the answer to your question, but I just want to summarize it here. If I was going to hold the stock for a very long time and I didn't have a position right now, I would consider buying a small number of shares slowly over time and DCAing into the stock only if, one, my risk tolerance is high enough to handle it and I'm not going to get shaken out if the stock drops. And two, if I have an extremely long-term time horizon. Some people don't want to wait around for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years for a stock story to play out. There are undoubtedly stocks in the stock market whose stock price is going to perform way better than Palantir over the next 1 to 4 years. Now, when we look out 10, 12, 15 years, is that still the case? I'm not so sure about that. But over the next 1 to 4 years, I would guarantee there's a plethora of stocks that you could pick out there that are going to have a better return profile over that time. Palantir, in my opinion, is not for the shorter term focused investor, and it's not for the weak stomached investor, okay? Without strong conviction, it'd be very easy to get shaken out of Palantir when we inevitably get some of those larger drops that we're going to see over the next 10 plus years. Let me know in the comments below if you're buying Palantir shares right now. And if you are, what's your time horizon and what do you think the stock's going to do over the next 1 to 4 years? Is it going to be one of the better returning stocks in the market over the next 1 to 4 years? Or do you think it's going to be dead money? And then we'll see that big upward tear in about 5 or more years with Palantir. Looking forward to seeing your comments down there. Definitely one of my favorite parts of posting here on YouTube is having some conversation with you guys down there. If you made it this far in the video, consider checking out the Patreon with the link in the description. We've got over 130 members in there. We'd love to have you in there as well. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.